Welcome back to How to Craft Fair. Today's video is episode 3 in the booth review series, where I take a look at a real craft booth that's been submitted by one of my YouTube subscribers, and hopefully I can take a look at the video and offer up some tips and advice on what they're doing well in the booth, and then also identify some areas where there could be some room for improvement. Stick around till the end of the video so that you can learn how to participate and have your booth featured and reviewed in this series. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so for this next episode, we are taking a look at Carol's booth, and Carol's business is Blueberry Fields Artisan Soap, and she is based out of Philadelphia, PA. So, all right, let's start taking a look here, and the first thing that we're going to look at is displays. Carol did provide a few different photos, so we'll take a look at a couple different angles of the booth here. But from straight away, looks like we have a few different wooden table risers here to display all the soaps. Really nice job. Looks really natural, which with an item like soap is really ideal. You don't want, I guess I don't want to say you don't want, but if it was me, I'd prefer to see a wood display just because it does represent natural. And obviously, Carol's got the sign here, it says farm fresh, so something natural, something pure is important at this booth. So really like the choice of having the wooden risers as opposed to something that's, metal, some sort of colder substance that maybe wouldn't look quite as natural. All right, so let's take a look at a different picture. Okay, so again, we have the matching wooden risers here. Really cool bathtub display. I mean, this is super awesome. Obviously tying in the whole soap theme, fantastic. And then over here, there's a little welcome crate, very cute. So really good job, really good job. This is well thought out. This is very intentional. The wood, obviously the bathtub is quite intentional to represent, cleanliness and using the product. But yeah, I really like when somebody puts time into the display for it to reflect the meaning and the use of the product that's being sold. So excellent job here. I actually just noticed this too. Here, let me zoom in on this. This is really cool. So there's a little mini tub for the business cards. Oh, this is excellent. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, let's back out. She had one more photo, so we'll take a look at the third photo just to make sure that we're not overlooking something. And okay, so it's just basically just kind of like a side profile of the first view that we saw. Again, tiny little bathtub here for the business cards, and the bigger one here for maybe the bath bombs or something like that. But really cool. Love the displays on this booth. Okay, so let's go back to the first photo so that we can take a look at the vertical space that's being used at the booth. So the main portion of the vertical space is coming from these wooden displays that we already covered. Aside from that, I don't really see a whole lot of other vertical space being used, but this is one of those cases where sometimes you don't really need to go absolutely wild with the vertical space. She has her items laid out here, but yet nothing feels crowded. There's no sense of something being crowded or, kind of closed in or smothered. So she doesn't really need to go super crazy with vertical space because everything is already covered in the space that's at the booth, so she has some to kind of make it a little bit interesting, to provide a couple different eye levels for the shopper. But this is one of those instances where it's not like she has to create a ton of vertical space in order to have her product even out there. I mean, take a look at this booth back here in the background. They have like really big, crazy items here. like this person has to go higher. It looks like they have a big riser table on top of a regular table. Booths like this with really, really big kind of clunkier items, they need to utilize that vertical space. Check out the wreaths here, right? I think these are wreaths. Again, they have to go way, way up just to ensure that their products are seen. Whereas here, when we have, bars of soap, you don't have to go nuts. You can keep it a little bit cozier. You can keep it a little bit tighter, while still having each product breathe. You want that little bit of breathing space. You don't want everything crammed absolutely together. So again, this is another segment of her booth that she's doing a really, really good job with. It's balanced. It's balanced vertically. It's balanced horizontally. And then as far as the spacing on her items, again, very, very good. So great job with the vertical space. All right, so let's change gears a little bit and talk about the signage. So it appears that there is, on each bar soap, that there is some sort of card, like an information card. So let me see if I can get zoomed in here on one of the photos where I can kind of really, really pull in and see. This is a little bit blurry. This is something Apple. So the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned with is that I don't see pricing. I don't see pricing anywhere on the booth. Let me pull back. Oops, other way. Okay, so yeah, like when you look at the table, there's like no sign, no chalkboard, like anything like that. No signage for, this is really like one of the few signs that I see is the Farm Fresh sign, which, while it's good, we're not getting a whole lot of other signage. So really ideally what we're kind of looking for, like as far as the signage goes, is you want to make things as obvious as possible. So it says Farm Fresh, but like what is the soap made out of? Like, is there like some special ingredient in the soap that is appealing? I'm kind of curious, like what's on each bar of soap, and if there's like some cool selling point. I would love to see like a bigger sign, just kind of like encompassing like all the soaps. Like, is there some cool thing that all the soaps have in common, like in the way that they're made or what they're made out of, things like that. So just something to kind of consider there. And then other signage is, I don't see your business name. So, we kind of talked about just having, a business name out there, just establishing like a little bit of a presence in previous videos and things like that. And that's, again, something I'd kind of like, to bring up in this video is, your business name is really catchy, Blueberry Fields Artisan Soap, it's intriguing, Blueberry Fields, like it just really reiterates that point of farm fresh, it just gives that natural feeling, so, really would love to see that business name somewhere on the booth, but yeah, that's about it as far as signage. I think I would assume that, there is some really cool, interesting information on each of the bars of soap, but, I'd like to see some signage kind of just encompassing the entire booth as a whole, so we go over to this table, looks like a different table as part of the booth. And again, no real signage over here except for what is pasted onto those bars. Okay. All right. So then let's go into our next segment, which is marketing. So we touched on this a little bit very early on into the review, and we found it on this picture right here. So you have the really, really cute little bathtub here with your business cards. So I should take that previous point back where your business, name isn't anywhere on your booth, because you do have the business cards out. So I should take that part back. But again, with the marketing and things like that, you could go a little bit further. But and again, I think I want to say that your business name is on here too. So it is located on some places, so I'm just kind of torn on that a little bit, but What I would love to see as far as marketing, though, great job with the business cards, but it would be nice to see a banner, like a banner or something like that. Maybe like a table runner, right, with like your business name on it. Again, really, really cute business name. It paints a picture in your mind. Blueberry Fields Artisan Soap. You definitely start to kind of paint a picture in your head of what that could look like. And I think that would be a really nice addition to your booth. Is like some kind of you don't have to go crazy with a huge banner, because like the space of your booth and the space that you occupy, your booth is kind of like, cozy and smaller, right? Like we said, you don't need these giant displays like these booths back here, right? So I don't think you have to go absolutely nuts with a giant banner back here, but even just a nice table runner with the business name on it would be kind of nice, because you already have the business cards out. So that's a way that people can contact you if they want to. So that's all I would say for the marketing. Now, when it comes to the pricing, don't know how much they cost. So they are probably listed on here. I would assume that the price is on each one of these. But as far as the pricing goes, it would be nice to kind of have, again, some signage out there for the pricing. Do you offer bundle pricing? So like if somebody buys like 2 or 3 soaps, do they get a deal? Or do you just have like a flat rate pricing that, kind of is for each item? So those are some of the things that I would think of, like if I was a shopper walking by. Again, you're doing a really, really good job of making the booth like visually attractive. Very, very cute and cozy. But then as a shopper, I would kind of look at these even like from a distance, and I'd say like, oh, I wonder how much those are. Or, like, do you get like any kind of a deal where if you buy like, 3 or 4 soaps, you get like a bath bomb or something? Like, you start to kind of have those questions, and, not everybody is kind of comfortable with talking to the booth owner, about their pricing or things like that, so that you should be able to have those things answered for the shopper before they even have to talk to you. Okay, so let's talk about colors, contrast, and texture. So as far as the colors go, you're obviously leaning into the wood displays here, so you have that natural look. And then the second main focus of color is the tablecloths. You have the blue and white checkered tablecloths. So I know the blue and white, checkered pattern is, very common with just representing, I guess, like Bath and Body in general, like Bath and Body products and stores and shops and things like that. You just kind of see like that blue and white pattern associated with that kind of thing. So while I definitely do like the blue and white incorporated into the booth, I think the choice of going with the actual full-on tablecloths is slightly dangerous, because pattern tablecloths can pull the eye in. It can suck the eye in and pull it away from the items themselves. Anything with like any kind of tablecloth with a pattern on it is basically in danger of doing this, where the eyes can get kind of drawn away from items and in towards the zones that have the pattern. It's just natural for our eye to look at the pattern and kind of just miss. It's easier to see the pattern and kind of overlook the solid objects. So this is one thing I would probably recommend, is switching to, in your case, I would probably switch to like a white stretch tablecloth. Like you can see like the black solid tablecloth right here. They have those great tablecloths now that kind of like stretch down and they look really, sleek and clean. I would recommend maybe doing a white one, but then get yourself just a thin table runner and either go this way. So like a standard banquet table like this, like the 8-foot wide ones, I believe they're exactly 2.5 feet wide. I believe they're 30 inches wide by 8 feet. So what I would do is maybe get one that's like 1 foot wide, like 12 inches wide, and just have that thing be like a runner, going right down the middle Or another way that you could do this is, if you wanted to, you could have like a solid white stretched tablecloth, looking really nice, really clean, and then get yourself a table runner with your logo on it that has just the checkered pattern, kind of like just in the middle, so you can have white on the sides, solid white on the sides, and then just have that checkered pattern in the middle with like your business logo on it. Because I think the blue and white is just robbing a little bit too much attention from your items. So let's take a look and see how it appears on a different picture. Oops, we're super zoomed in on this one still. Let me back out. Okay, so this picture, the photograph itself is it's much brighter than the other photo. So this must be like directly under a light. And I think in better light, it's not as distracting. I think in better light, there's pretty good focus up here, but then, check out how these look, right? So like, it's easy to focus on this stuff. It's even pretty easy to focus on what is in this welcome crate and in the tub. But then when your eyes come down here and your eyes come over here, like these items, they get a little bit lost. You kind of lose them a little bit against this really, I don't want to say aggressive, because it's like it's such a classic pattern, the checker pattern, but you really do kind of lose them against that, compared to the stuff that's up here, where it's like, okay, that pops, that's easy to see. It's kind of away from that table and that pattern. But when you come down here, they do blend in a little bit. They don't really pop the same way these do. So again, I would really consider the solid white stretch tablecloth. Go with some kind of like a runner, whether you go this way, whether you go the long way, or you do the runner like with maybe a logo on one or two of the tables. And I think that would be really, really nice, really, really nice. And the stuff that's like sitting on top of the table, then I think those would really, really pop against just a solid color. Okay. So let's talk about the strength of the theme. I think the strength of the theme in this booth is really, really good. There's, she doesn't really have to do a lot, and that's a good thing, that she's not really doing like overkill on the theme, and it's really not necessary, So you have the natural wood for the displays. You have the really, really cool tubs mixed in, and a couple of welcome crates, and you got the farm fresh sign with the cow. So it's like, I think that's really about all that you need. I don't think you really have to go like super crazy with it. Mix in, the business logo. Get the business logo on a table runner or like a small banner or something like that. But really, that's about it. I don't think you have to go too crazy. I like that you got the business cards out. But yeah, as far as the theme goes, I'd say that you're doing a really good job with your theme, keeping it simple. Keep that focus on the items themselves, because again, like I've said in previous videos, if you start to get carried away with the theme, you start to kind of lose focus on the items. And at the end of the day, that's what you're there for. You're there to sell your items. So you want people focused on the items. All right, so now the next segment is accessibility. And as I've explained in previous videos, accessibility, when I talk about that, I'm referring to people's ability to get close to your booth, to look at your items in detail, right up against your booth, and safety, how safe it is for people to get close to your booth, get in and out, no tripping hazards, no falling hazards, that kind of thing. So let's take a look. We'll go to a different picture here, and we'll back out a little bit. Okay. So we're set up on some tables here. There's nothing that is poking out from underneath the tables. No long totes or, there's really no tripping hazards going on here. We have a really clean setup here going on. Looks tidy. I'm not seeing a whole lot in the way of clutter and things like that. And even behind the booth, so even though her booths, her displays are set up in a way where you can see through them. Things are looking pretty tidy here. You know, we got a drink over here. I think maybe like an apple over here or something. Her the booth sign that she was given by the organizer. But anyways, I'm kind of getting off track because we're talking about accessibility. And again, this is something, an area of strength in this booth. Very accessible. You can get right up on this booth and look at all of these items in great detail. And numerous people can check out this booth at the same time as well, because the fact that, you know, we touched on this earlier where she doesn't have to have her booth so crammed full of items that it becomes kind of a cluster, you know. So, you know, 3 or 4 people can be standing here comfortably and be able to check out her items all at the same time, no problem. So again, as far as accessibility goes, great job. Same thing over here with this secondary table. Nothing sticking out, no tripping hazards. Everything looks good, and you can get right up on the table to check out all the soaps, all the bath bombs, everything. So really, really good job here. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the general use of space. So we've touched on this a little bit leading up to this, and I think she is doing a good job. There's different types of displays, you know, so that is interesting to the eye. We have the riser, the main riser displays. We have the welcome crate. We have the tub. A couple other, you know, smaller things, but wicker basket over here. But yeah, I would say that there is nice variety in the way that things are being displayed. There's a little bit of use in the vertical space at the booth, you know, but not more than what's needed, and just enough to get the job done, you know. So she's kind of in that sweet spot with vertical space as well. But yeah, I would say that the general use of space is really good. It's not overkill, and it's not underwhelming. So sometimes you'll see vendors that have very few items out there, and you know, the table kind of looks barren and things like that. And we're not getting that. We're not getting that with this experience. So it looks really good, very balanced. Okay, and then as far as the general eye test, you know, this kind of encompasses the whole package. And the eye test, I kind of refer to it as the 2 or 3 seconds of an impression that you make on a shopper who's walking by. So is your booth a place that somebody would want to stop at and take a look at when they're walking by? It's very difficult to do. It's something that is a challenge for a lot of vendors, but I think this booth is doing a really good job with the eye test because of that old acronym, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? So it's you know, there's nothing here that doesn't need to be here. So that's really important because, again, you want people focused on what they can possibly purchase from your booth. What are your items? You want those to be front and center, the sole focus of the booth. The displays, the theme, everything else is the supporting act, and the products are the star of the show. Okay, so remember that at the end of the day. You know, you can go crazy with your theme and your displays, and you can go super wild with it. But at the end of the day, if you're outshining your items, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. So you need to find that sweet spot between, you know, interesting and cozy and intriguing, but also not being overpowering over your items. So this booth is doing a wonderful, wonderful job of keeping it clean, keeping it simple, and just really, really excelling at that initial eye test. So I would say that this booth overall is in really good shape. I would be willing to bet that Carol is probably a veteran vendor who's, you know, done her fair share of events and things like that. Areas of improvement. Let's talk about some areas of improvement just to kind of recap. We talked about the tablecloth, you know, the checkered pattern, maybe toning it down by just having like a strip of it as the table runner this way across the table, or by having just maybe like a 1-foot strip going across the table this way as like an accent piece. So that's one way to kind of like tone down the loudness that could be a distraction in contrast away from these items set down on the table. So we talked about that. We did talk about the signage, so the pricing signage, what kind of payment methods do you accept? Your business name should be a little bit more present. We did see it on the business cards, to be fair, but maybe like a sign with your business. So, we talked about the signage and things like that. And then the tablecloths themselves, I don't think I've mentioned this yet up until now, but generally you want to have them pulled down a little bit farther. So like on your side where you're standing, Carol, I don't know if there is like more tablecloth hanging down, but if there is, even if you stick with these tablecloths, like have it so that the tablecloth is kind of like pulled down more this way so that there's less showing underneath the table, so just kind of tuck this, like pull this down a little bit on this side if you have to. That I think is really about it. I feel like we've kind of touched on everything, but again, Carol, thank you so much for sharing your booth with me, and the world. But, everybody, check out, the links below, and I will be sure to, have her business links in the description of this video for Blueberry Fields Artisan Soap, and that is in Philadelphia, PA. If you want to have your booth reviewed, like I've done with Carol's booth today, please visit my website, and there is a page dedicated to booth reviews, and it'll tell you all about how to participate in one of these videos. And if you like this video, I have a whole bunch of others in a playlist, so be sure to check out the playlist above, and thank you so much for watching.